Have you ever felt like something was wrong with your loved one, even though they were still living their daily lives? Maybe you've noticed subtle changes, vague signs that you might have dismissed or attributed to old age. But the truth is, sometimes the body sends out quiet warning signals for months, even years, before life enters its final phase. The problem is, most of us miss these signs. We're too busy with our own lives, or we simply don't know what to look for. It's only in hindsight that we realize the clues were there all along. But by then, it may be too late to prepare, too late to create meaningful final memories. My name is John Smith, and in this video, I want to share with you 5 important signs that often appear in the last year of an elderly person's life. Some of these may be things you've already noticed, but dismissed as just part of aging. Others may seem minor, but they actually signal the body's gradual decline. Recognizing these signs early can help you provide better care, cherish meaningful moments, and most importantly, ensure that your loved one's final days are filled with comfort, dignity, and peace. So, keep watching, because these 5 signs can help you prepare emotionally and practically for what's to come. When you understand what's happening, you won't be caught off guard, and you'll be able to make the most of the remaining time with those you love. 1. Significant weight loss. The alarming silent shift. One of the earliest and most obvious signs that a person may be approaching their last year of life is unintentional weight loss. At first, it might seem insignificant. A belt suddenly needing to be tightened more, clothes looking looser, or an appetite that was once hearty beginning to wane. Many families dismiss it as just part of the aging process, thinking, oh, she is getting old, it's normal to eat less. But the truth is, losing weight without trying to is rarely a good sign. It often indicates that the body is no longer absorbing nutrients effectively. Muscle mass is decreasing, and essential systems are slowing down. Natural aging leads to some muscle loss, but when it happens rapidly, it's a sign that something deeper is occurring. The body might be struggling to digest food properly, or the person may no longer be able to process protein efficiently, leading to muscle atrophy. This loss of strength not only makes it harder to move around, but also increases the risk of falls, weakens the immune system, and makes the person more susceptible to infections. I remember the case of Mrs. Martha, an 82-year-old woman I used to take care of. She had always been an energetic woman who loved gardening and cooking for her family. But about a year before she died, the family began to notice that she was losing weight. At first, they weren't too worried. They thought that maybe she was just eating less because she was less active. But then, Martha began to get weaker. She had trouble walking around her garden, and she no longer had any interest in cooking. The family took her to the doctor, and they found out that she was malnourished. Her body was no longer absorbing nutrients properly, and she was losing muscle mass. Martha's family tried to feed her more, but she couldn't eat much. She would get full very quickly, and she didn't like the taste of food. Eventually, she had to be hospitalized, and she died a few weeks later. Another reason weight loss happens in the last year of life is due to changes in appetite. Many older adults simply don't feel as hungry as they used to. Their sense of smell and taste diminish. Food becomes less appealing, and they might start skipping meals or eating much smaller portions. This isn't just a matter of preference, it's a physiological change. The body, sensing that it's beginning to shut down, no longer signals the brain to seek food as frequently. The result is less energy, less strength, and a gradual decline in overall health. And then there's the role of underlying medical conditions. Weight loss is a common symptom of chronic illnesses like cancer, heart failure, or kidney disease, all of which can start progressing long before more obvious symptoms appear. Even conditions like depression or cognitive decline can lead to decreased eating, creating a downward spiral where the body isn't getting enough fuel to function. Some families try to combat the problem by encouraging their loved one to eat more, offering favorite foods, or supplementing meals with protein drinks. But if the weight continues to drop despite these efforts, it's important to recognize that the issue isn't just about diet. It's about the body preparing for a deeper transition. At this stage, forcing large meals might not help. Instead, focusing on comfort, easy-to-eat foods, and hydration can make a bigger difference in maintaining quality of life. If you're noticing significant weight loss in an elderly loved one, especially if they're eating less, feeling weaker, or having trouble staying active, it's time to pay attention. This isn't just about appearance. It's about the body sending a message, and understanding that message now can help you prepare for the road ahead with clarity, compassion, and the ability to make every remaining moment meaningful. Talk to their doctor. Find out if there are any underlying health issues that may be causing weight loss. 2. Extreme fatigue and weakness when energy drains. One of the most noticeable changes in the year leading up to end of life is a deep, persistent fatigue that doesn't go away with rest. This isn't just feeling a little tired after a long day. It's a profound exhaustion that makes even the simplest tasks feel overwhelming. Getting out of bed becomes a challenge. Walking across the room requires effort. And activities that were once familiar, like cooking, dressing, or even having a conversation, start to feel too tiring. This isn't just a result of aging. It's a sign that the body is conserving its remaining energy. As organ function begins to slow down, the body starts prioritizing what's most essential. The heart isn't pumping as efficiently as it used to. Circulation is impaired, and muscles aren't receiving the same level of oxygen. This is why many elderly people in their final months experience feelings of weakness, unsteadiness, and an inability to sustain the same level of activity they once enjoyed. I used to know a former teacher named Eleanor, a woman who had always been full of energy and passion. She was always busy with volunteer activities, reading books, and spending time with her family. But about 6 months before she died, Eleanor began to feel much more tired. She couldn't walk as far as she used to, and she had to take frequent rests. At first, Eleanor tried to ignore her fatigue. She thought that maybe she was just stressed. But as her fatigue got worse, she knew that something was wrong. She went to see her doctor, and they found out that she had congestive heart failure. Her heart was no longer pumping blood efficiently, and she wasn't getting enough oxygen to her muscles. Eleanor had to give up many of her favorite activities because she was too tired. She couldn't travel, she couldn't garden, and she couldn't spend time with her friends. She felt very sad and frustrated that she couldn't do the things she wanted to do. Another key factor is the slowing down of metabolism. The body is designed to produce and use energy. But as it prepares for its final stage, that energy is diverted. Instead of fueling movement, the body shifts to conservation. This is why a person who is declining might start sleeping more, needing longer naps during the day, and finding it difficult to stay awake for extended periods. Some may even experience sudden drops in energy, where they seem fine one moment but are completely exhausted the next. But perhaps the most heartbreaking part of this process is the emotional toll of fatigue. Many seniors who once prided themselves on their independence start to feel frustrated or even ashamed that they can't do what they used to. They may withdraw from conversations, avoid social interactions, or stop engaging in hobbies. Not because they don't care, but because they simply don't have the energy. This can lead to a vicious cycle of isolation, where they stop trying altogether, which only accelerates the decline. For families watching a loved one go from being active and engaged to being exhausted and withdrawn, it can be incredibly painful. It's easy to assume they're just being lazy or that they need to push themselves to get over it. But the reality is, forcing activity isn't going to help. The most important thing is to understand their limitations, allow them to rest when they need to, and make their remaining days as comfortable as possible. If you're noticing a loved one experiencing deep, constant fatigue that isn't relieved by rest, consider it a sign that their body is undergoing a major transition. This is a time to cherish conversations, create peaceful moments, and support them without expectations. Because in the end, what matters most isn't how much they can do, but how loved, understood, and comfortable they feel. 3. Increase cognitive confusion or withdrawal when the mind fades. As a person nears the end of their life, one of the most noticeable changes can be how they think, communicate, and interact with others. You might notice that someone who was once sharp and engaged starts forgetting things more frequently, has trouble following conversations, or seems disoriented in familiar places. They might repeat themselves, forget names, or lose track of time, even if they never had memory problems before. These subtle shifts in cognition can happen over months or even a year before death. This isn't just everyday forgetfulness. The brain, like any other organ, requires a steady flow of oxygen and nutrients to function properly. But as circulation weakens and the oxygen supply to the brain decreases, cognitive function starts to decline. The person might become more prone to confusion, struggle to make decisions, or have difficulty recognizing people and places they've known for years. In some cases, they might even have brief moments of clarity followed by bouts of sudden confusion, almost as if their mind is flickering in and out. Another common sign is emotional withdrawal. A person nearing the end of life often loses interest in social interactions. You might notice they talk less, engage less, or spend long periods just sitting quietly. It's not that they don't care about their loved ones, but their brain is no longer processing emotions and connections in the same way. Conversations become tiring, noisy environments feel overwhelming, and many seniors eventually retreat into their own world. You might also notice changes in mood and behavior. Some individuals become more irritable, anxious, or easily frustrated. Others seem uncharacteristically calm, detached, or indifferent to things that used to matter to them. This isn't just a change in personality. It's often the result of the brain adjusting to the decline of the body. As cognitive function slows down, emotions become harder to express, and the person might stop responding to situations the way they once did. For family members, this stage can be particularly difficult. Witnessing a loved one lose touch with reality or withdraw emotionally can feel like losing them before they're actually gone. But it's important to remember that this is not something they can control. Rather than trying to pull them back into conversations, the best thing you can do is meet them where they are. Speak softly, offer reassurance, and understand that even if they're not always responsive, they can still sense your presence. If a loved one is becoming more forgetful, confused, or less engaged, don't dismiss it. These are often early signs that the body and mind are preparing for the final transition. This is a time to practice patience, cherish the quiet moments, and focus on creating a safe, familiar, and peaceful environment. Because even when words fade, love and comfort can still be felt. For frequent and slow healing infections, when the immune system falters, as the body begins to weaken, one of the clearest physical signs is a compromised immune system. You might notice that a person who rarely got sick before now seems to be catching every cold, every flu, every minor infection that goes around. Illnesses that used to be minor now take longer to recover from, and simple wounds, like a small cut or bruise, heal at a significantly slower rate. These changes aren't random. They are signs that the body is no longer able to defend itself and repair itself as efficiently as it once could. One of the biggest concerns is recurring infections. Pneumonia, urinary tract infections, UTIs, skin infections, and even oral infections become more common as the immune system weakens. Many families dismiss these as just isolated illnesses, but when they start happening frequently or take a long time to clear up, it's often a sign that the body is losing its ability to fight back. Even antibiotics that once worked quickly seem less effective. The person might need stronger medications, longer courses of treatment, or multiple rounds of treatment for infections that would have been minor in the past. This happens because as circulation slows down and organ function declines, the body simply doesn't respond as well to treatment. Another overlooked issue is chronic wounds. If you're noticing that small scrapes, sores, or bruises aren't healing properly or keep reopening, it could mean that circulation is compromised. Poor blood flow means oxygen and nutrients aren't reaching the skin and tissues efficiently, making the healing process much slower than normal. Bed sores, especially in people who are less mobile, become a serious risk and can lead to dangerous infections if not managed carefully. What's even more concerning is that infections in the last year of life often don't look the way we expect them to. Instead of a high fever, an elderly person might just seem more tired than usual, more confused, or less interested in eating. In fact, for seniors, a sudden decline in mental alertness is often the first warning sign of an infection, even before other symptoms appear. This is why recognizing these changes early can make a difference in the level of comfort and support they receive in their final days. For families, watching a loved one experience recurring infections can be frustrating and heartbreaking. It's tempting to push for aggressive treatments, hoping that another round of antibiotics or another hospital stay will fix the problem. But at a certain point, the focus often shifts from cure to comfort, ensuring that they are kept hydrated, keeping their skin clean and moisturized, and minimizing stress to the body can do more for their well-being than another round of medication that just prolongs suffering. 5. Major shifts in breathing or circulation when life slows. One of the clearest signs that the body is preparing for its final stage is a noticeable change in breathing patterns and circulation. You might notice that your loved one is breathing more slowly or shallowly than they used to. Sometimes they might pause between breaths, or their breathing might become irregular, speeding up and then slowing down unexpectedly. Some people experience a gentle rhythmic breathing pattern called Cheyne-Stokes respiration, where the breathing alternates between deep rapid breaths and long pauses. These changes might start subtly, but over time they become more pronounced and frequent. Another common sign is poor circulation. You might notice that their hands, feet, or even their nose and ears start to feel cold to the touch. The skin might appear pale, slightly bluish, or mottled, especially around the fingers and toes. This happens because the body is prioritizing blood flow to the vital organs, reducing circulation to the extremities. It's a clear sign that the heart isn't pumping as strongly as it used to. Some people also experience more shortness of breath, even with minimal exertion. Simply sitting up, talking, or changing position can make them feel breathless or winded. You might notice they are breathing through their mouth more often, or they might suddenly need to stop and catch their breath in the middle of a conversation. If they used to be able to walk across the room easily, but now struggle, their lung function might be declining. In some cases, fluid buildup in the lungs can make it even harder to breathe. This can cause a persistent cough, a gurgling sound, or even a feeling of tightness in the chest. Many people assume it's just congestion from a cold, but in elderly people nearing the end of life, it's often a sign that the lungs are weakening. This can make it uncomfortable to lie flat, and they might prefer to sleep propped up on pillows or in a recliner to make breathing easier. For family members, witnessing these changes can be frightening. It's natural to want to help, to encourage them to take deeper breaths, or to worry that something urgent is happening. But in many cases, this is simply the body's natural way of slowing down. There might not always be a way to reverse these changes, but there are ways to make them more comfortable. Keeping the room cool, using a humidifier, or offering small sips of water can help ease the discomfort. In some cases, medications or oxygen therapy can provide some relief, but the focus shifts to comfort rather than trying to fix the problem. If you're noticing these signs, changes in breathing, cold hands and feet, or bluish skin, pay attention. These are often signs that the body is conserving energy and the circulation is slowing down. This is a time to be present, offer reassurance, and create a peaceful environment where they feel safe and comfortable. In these final months or weeks, the most important thing you can give them isn't medical intervention, but comfort, dignity, and a knowledge that they are not alone. As we come to the end of this video, take a moment to reflect on what we've discussed: significant weight loss, extreme fatigue, cognitive decline, frequent infections, and major changes in breathing and circulation. These 5 signs often appear in the year leading up to an elderly person's passing. They might not all happen at once, and they might not always be obvious at first, but when you start to notice them, it's a sign that the body is preparing for its final transition. For many families, these changes can be hard to accept. It's natural to want to fight against them, to encourage a loved one to eat more, move more, or push through their exhaustion. But sometimes the best thing we can do is listen to what their body is telling us. Instead of focusing on trying to reverse the inevitable, we can focus on making their remaining time as peaceful, comfortable, and meaningful as possible. Understanding these signs isn't about fearing death, it's about preparing for it. When you recognize these changes early, you can provide better care, make important decisions ahead of time, and ensure that your loved one's final months are filled with love and dignity. This is a time to cherish moments, share stories, and let them know they are loved and not alone. If you're noticing these signs in someone close to you, take a deep breath and remember that you're not alone in this journey. Many families have walked this path before, and while it's never easy, knowing what to expect can help you find strength, patience, and peace. Thank you for watching until the end. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and share it with others who might need it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content on health, well-being, and living a fulfilling life. And most importantly, take the time to cherish your loved ones, because time is the most precious gift we can give. I'll see you in the next video.